If you're a coach, consultant, or agency owner trying to grow on YouTube, Claude just made it 10 times easier to do everything, from finding video ideas to writing scripts to building your entire funnel. And I'm not talking about asking ChatGPT to just give me 10 video ideas and getting back the same generic list that every other creator in your niche is posting. I'm talking about using Claude at a high level where it becomes your full-time YouTube strategist, researcher, scriptwriter, and funnel builder all in one. For context, I run YouTube to clients, a done-for-you YouTube agency for coaches, consultants, and agency owners, and we handle everything for them, from scripting to editing to thumbnails to SEO and the full funnel implementations. Our clients film the videos for about 2 hours a month, and we handle the rest. And we've helped clients like Stedman generate 40K in 45 days from YouTube. Kai, who we took from 17 to 75K per month. Kiwa, 13K in the first 7 days. So when I tell you that Claude has fundamentally changed how we go about producing content for these business channels, I'm saying that from the perspective of someone who's actually managing quite a few channels at scale across dozens of different niches. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we're using Claude across every stage of the YouTube process, specifically for business channels that need to actually generate leads and sales, not just views. So I'm going to cover research and ideation, script writing, recording workflow, thumbnails, editing, funnels and conversion, and a few things that most people aren't even thinking about yet. So if you're a business owner who knows YouTube works, but you've kind of been putting it off because the process just feels too overwhelming, this video is going to show you exactly how Claude collapses all of that and the entire workflow, making it something you can easily execute on. So let's jump in. So first, let me go over the 3 problems with AI for YouTube, right? So Claude is exceptional at execution, but you need to know where it falls short so that you can actually fill in the gaps. So number 1, Claude cannot connect to YouTube. Claude doesn't know what blew up in your niche yesterday, which hooks are working this week, or what your competitors just posted. Number 2, most YouTube advice that Claude has is outdated or wrong. And this is why Claude alone can't just be your strategist and you think, hey, I'm just gonna ask it questions. If you ask Claude if tags matter, it'll probably say yes, and tags do not matter. They haven't mattered in years. So Claude doesn't know everything. And content degradation. So if you dump too much data at once into Claude, you'll know this if you've used anything like Claude or ChatGPT. It starts inventing stats, attributing quotes to the wrong people, and just conflating videos together. And this is why some people end up going with Manus, because Manus is credit-based, meaning it actually goes through and makes sure it's not giving you wrong information and not making stuff up. It reads every single piece of content that you give it, whereas Claude doesn't do that. It's not credit-based. So why research is the most important step? The first use case is by far the most important, yet the one that most business owners completely overlook. So the thing you need to understand here is research is the most important step. And Claude can't really do this for you because it doesn't understand YouTube strategy to that level, as we said. And you need to actually be manually going through your competitors, as well as just surfing YouTube and finding winning formats. So the main thing you need to understand is the best video ideas don't come from brainstorming. They come from systematically finding outliers across YouTube. That means videos that performed really well compared to the baseline, and then reverse engineering why they worked. So what you do is you find formats that are really working in one niche and you bring it over to yours where nobody has done it yet. Now, obviously you can recreate videos that people have already done in your niche, but the best performing videos that you get will be the ones where they are from a different niche, whether it's an adjacent niche, meaning something that's very similar to your niche, or even a random niche. So niches that have great content and great inspiration for outliers is the gaming niche, it's the cooking niche, it's the fitness niche. It's these types of niches where you can find formats that you can reverse engineer and apply to the business world if you're someone doing that. So there is some way that we can utilize Claude in the research phase. So Claude does now integrate with vidIQ, which means, it can pull YouTube search data, analyze competitor channels, identify outlier videos for you. You're still gonna have to go through and manually check all of this, but it can actually give you some useful information. Now, what you could do is using Claude Cowork, aka, the Claude's computer capabilities, it can actually control Chrome for you. So you can let it browse YouTube autonomously. It can search keywords, it can scroll entire channel catalogs. It can calculate mean and median views. It can log everything into a spreadsheet automatically. So you can try, utilize Claude Cowork to actually do the manual research for you. What you can also do is actually just feed Claude your offer details, your ICP, your case studies, and what it can do is evaluate whether a video idea will attract qualified buyers or just random viewers. And you just want to be using it as a second brain in this scenario. And this can be the difference between getting 100K views and 0 calls booked versus 5K views and something like 10 calls booked. Next, we move on to the script writing process. So you might have come up with a good video idea. Maybe you've used AI to do that, but if you get the script wrong, none of that even matters. And what you're saying is so important because you don't want to sound AI generated. You don't want to sound like every other guy on the platform. So the biggest mistake, when people use AI to write their scripts is just opening up Claude and typing, write me a YouTube script about X. And then it gives you something that you just kind of use. And the output obviously is generic, bland, has none of your unique perspective or stories, right? And that's what we don't want. You're never going to blow up and grow your channel in that way. Instead, what you need to be doing is a multi-stage process. So number one, give it a brief. Give it the title, the concept, the reference video you took inspiration from, a full breakdown of why that video worked, the overall vision of your version of that video. All of these things you can do. And the way I like to do this is using Whisperflow. Whisperflow is essentially just an app where you can voice talk to Claude and it'll obviously take all your information. So you can just kind of speak for 1 or 2 minutes, just giving it the idea that you have for this video. That way, when the video script comes out, it's actually based on your original idea and strategy for the video, and it's not kind of giving something misaligned. The next thing, and this is part of our scripting process that we do for our clients, is the interview extraction. So this is when, you're given Claude the information about what you want to do for this video, and it's going to ask back for specific information about your channel and your offer, your case studies, all of these things that it can then use to write the script and customize it. Because if the script is not custom and it's only based on what's in its database, that's not what we want. So you want to make sure you give it that custom channel information and you make sure that it includes all of that stuff, like information about the offer, the results, and specific unique propositions that apply to you. Then once you've given it that information, the next part is the script generation. So within that information, you want to give it information about how you talk, your style, your voice. And that's something you can include here. What we do is we have Claude ask about that. So Claude asks us a list of 10 questions, and one of them is like, what is your voice? How does it sound like? And then when you've given it that information, the output is actually going to be matching your style. Another thing you can do here is create a custom skill that is trained on your voice and style. And this is something you can within Claude. So, without doing any of these methods, Claude is just going to default to its own writing patterns. But if you actually give it some information about your voice, Claude is going to know your cadence, your vocabulary, your phrasing tendencies, and your argument structure. And this is what we want to do to make sure that we're not just writing AI fluff, right? So if you want to take the Claude skill route, it will take a few hours up front going back and forth, but every script after that, is going to be a lot closer to what you actually sound like on camera. And this is really important if you're going to do the teleprompter route, word for word scripts. I can't stress this enough. The scripts need to sound like you. So once we have the script done, we've recorded the video, the next thing is obviously now we need to do the post-production, and that is the thumbnail system. So thumbnails are extremely important. You cannot get away with having a bad thumbnail. Your packaging on a video is just as important as the video idea itself. So the packaging is the video title and the thumbnail. So what actually works in thumbnails? And we need to understand this before we actually go ahead and use AI for this, because otherwise it's going to just give us some corporate nonsense looking thumbnail. So we need a human element, something like a confident expression that connects with the viewer and builds trust. We need color psychology. So red creates urgency, blue for trust, yellow for attention. And we need to have visual contrast that stops the scroll. Then complementary text. You want clear text that works with the title rather than repeating it. So you never want to repeat what's in the title and have the exact same thing on the thumbnail. It's wasted space that you can show something else. And then curiosity gap. The thumbnail creates a question that only the title partially answers, which means they have to click on the video. So now that we know that this is what we're actually aiming for, we can go ahead and use AI to help us. So you need to have a swipe file, and this applies to pretty much everything. When you're writing your YouTube script, you need to have a swipe file of good YouTube scripts. If you don't have that, Claude is just writing from what it thinks is a good YouTube script. And this is why you have to have manually created thumbnails and manually created scripts firsthand so that AI can actually replicate it. So collect all the high performing thumbnails that you have. We have this for our agency, all the best thumbnails that we've created for our clients that work the best. And you need to have this, organized somehow, whether it's in a Google Sheet or something like that. Then once again, what you can do is train a Claude skill. Feed the swipe file into Claude so it understands what works for your specific audience. And then for each new video, Claude can give you multiple concepts that are actually based on the swipe file and what you've said works in your industry. And it's not going to give you some generic design advice. And then you can even use AI for image generation. There are, good thumbnail design softwares out there right now that are utilizing Claude in the background. We don't use these. We actually make sure that we have custom designers still doing all thumbnails by hand. But if you're on a budget, you could try something like this. And what you can do is specifically use it for generating variations of how you might look. So if you want a variation, a thumbnail of you kind of doing something that you're not doing in real life. That's when you would kind of use AI. Then once we have the thumbnail design done, we want to move on to video editing. And obviously this section isn't the flashiest. Video editing, it's something that has to get done, but you can save a lot of time if you actually utilize AI within this process. So Claude will not replace your video editor, but it will make them faster. So AI cutting tools. So there are specific tools and extensions you can give to your editors that'll help them edit a lot faster. Things that remove silences, bad takes, repetition automatically. It can cut all of this automatically, and this can save hours of tedious time, which without your editor having to do all of it, which is obviously going to increase the speed that you get your actual video back. So there's even built-in tools like this in Adobe Premiere Pro, so you might not even have to go for different types of softwares. Visual planning from the transcript. So you can feed Claude the transcript of the video. Your editor receives a detailed visual plan instead of trying to make all these creative decisions from scratch. And this is great, especially when, if you've worked with editors, sometimes they don't do things right. But if you can give them an actual plan for each video, it's going to make everything so much easier. And then things like brand guidelines. So for each video, you need to be giving your video editors brand guidelines. That's all based on, what you have on your website, whether it's the colors, whether it's the fonts, the graphic style. And this is something you can once again create with AI when you give it that information and you have this brand guidelines that you can give to your editors for every single video. Now, everything I've just gone through is how to actually create the videos and create them faster. And this last section here is actually about how you can take these videos and turn them into revenue, how you can build a conversion system for your business. And this is where most people just drop the ball, right? They might have some good videos, but then they just send them to a Calendly or a terrible landing page. So instead, what you need to do is make sure you actually have good landing pages, a really good funnel, and you can use Claude Design for this. You can use Manus for this. Whichever AI of your choice you want to use, you need to be building out good landing pages. And obviously Claude can do this, and it can even write out all the copy. It can design the layouts. It can do all of this, especially when you give it a swipe file of what a good landing page and a good funnel looks like. And this means that you're actually building a conversion system from YouTube, from the beginning when they watch your content to the conversion when they book a call. And this is obviously extremely important. So that's a full breakdown of how Claude has changed YouTube for business channels forever. From research to scripting to recording, every part of the process. And if you want to go deeper on the actual YouTube funnel system and see exactly how we structure content and generate leads and sales for our clients, then go watch the video on the screen over here right now. It walks through the entire process step by step. And if you'd rather just have me and my team handle all of this for you, then just click the first link in the description to apply to work with YouTube to clients. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.